Riders Zero Gravity is yet another game that gets bashed for really no reason at all. Now, I won't say by any means this game is perfect. It has its flaws, but most of the flaws that are actually talked about in terms of a lot of reviews I've seen of it aren't even there. Most of the complaints that I see have to do with the controls or the story, both of which I have a remedy for. First, I want to talk about the story. The story is that there's these meteorites that look like rings, and they have the power to control gravity, and they're called like arcs of the cosmos or something of that nature. The storyline's really weird, and I don't really have too many complaints with it. It doesn't have to do with the Chaos Emeralds for once, which is nice. I like that I don't have to worry about the Chaos Emeralds again. Now, but a lot of people think the story is stupid. I don't agree at all. It's not that bad of a story. It's not a good one, but it's a racing game, so the storyline really doesn't matter. My only real complaint when it comes to the story is there are certain parts of the game where the storyline gets a bit messed up. Like, for example, there's a part in the game where you have to rescue Amy. And to rescue Amy, I guess what they do is do 3 laps around a track. I don't know how that makes sense. It's really stupid, and I really wish they would have implemented the story better with the gameplay. But once again, the storyline isn't that big a deal, and it shouldn't even be a major complaint with the game. Now, what about the gameplay? Well, like I said, the controls are another thing that get about a lot. For some reason, people love to talk about how horrible the controls are, and how the game is because of the controls, and you can't get around turns and such. The controls aren't that bad if you know what you're doing. First of all, do not use the GameCube controller. You will be bored out of your mind if you use that damn GameCube controller. Don't do it. It'll be just like the old Riders, and it'll just be boring as hell. Use the Wii Motion. Now, most of you are saying, but the motion controls suck. No, they don't. First of all, you don't even have to use the motion controls. When you're holding the Wii Motion horizontally, you can use the D-pad to accelerate and decelerate as well as turn, and use the other buttons for whatever function they hold. Now, granted, you can use the motion controls to accelerate and decelerate, do the same thing. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend doing one of two things. Either use the D-pad to accelerate and decelerate, and use the Wiimote only for turning purposes, or the motion controls only for turning purposes, or use the D-pad for turning and accelerating and decelerating, and only use the Wiimote motion controls to control the gravity powers. The gravity powers are another interesting part of the gameplay. They are another thing that don't seem to be mentioned in any of the reviews I've seen of it. The reason you can't get around some turns is that you need to use the gravity boost to get around the turn. That's why there is a visual prompt that tells you that you should use the gravity boost to get around this turn. No one seems to mention this, and they say you can't turn around this turn. Yeah, you can if you use the gravity boost like you're supposed to. I cannot believe that no one mentions this. And the game is a lot of fun if you know how to use the gravity powers. Another thing is the gravity, what I like to call the gravity burst. I don't know the proper names of either of these moves. The gravity boost is the one where you can turn in midair and you boost. The gravity burst, as I call it, is where you fly up in the air and you basically zoom off in one direction. And the thing that's really awesome about this is you can ricochet off objects. You can grind along them and get a tremendous amount of speed going from this. And again, something else no one ever mentions. This is awesome. I like this. The gravity abilities are well implemented. You control yourself in midair. It works. And again, no one mentions it. Another part of the gameplay is the ability to level up your gears. The board and such. There are 3 main level ups. There's in most of the gears. There's a few exceptions, but most of those gears that are exceptions are the ones that are bought in the shop. The level ups are either you get a speed boost, you get a character ability, depending on what type of character you're playing as, speed, fly, or strength. Or you can get a gravity gauge power up. There is a gravity gauge here for your gravity abilities. And it replaces the retarded air gauge, which is the last that I hated. I don't mind the gravity gauge, it makes sense. Now, these abilities are unlocked by getting a certain number of rings. You can unlock the abilities in any order, but each ability needs a certain number of rings, and once you get the ability, it reduces that amount of rings that it requires. So there's more strategy to building your gear during the race. It makes the race more interesting and gives you a fun factor to it. And as for the look of the game, well, the cinematics look amazing. And the in-game cinematics and the actual gameplay, it doesn't look too bad. There are a couple minor flaws, but mostly the graphics look pretty good. I like the style of the game. Plus, the lip syncing is dead on, which is a problem that a lot of 3D Sonic games suffer from: bad lip syncing. And there's no problem with that here. The lip syncing is really great. I won't say the game, like I said, the game isn't flawless. There are a few issues. The control, while it's not as bad as everyone says it is, there's still a couple issues I have with it. The turning, it's not as bad as everyone says it is, but there's still a couple minor issues with it, in a sense that you don't seem to turn as tight as you should in some respects. It's not so bad that it breaks the game, but it takes some getting used to. There's also another glitch I noticed with the game. Sometimes if you use the boost at a certain point, you will phase through the floor and fall. I've seen this happen on 2 separate occasions. I've never seen the glitch happen before that, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning because it's slightly irritating when you're trying to use your boost to get up some speed, and all of a sudden you phase through a wall and fall. Now, this only seems to happen if you're facing towards a hill. So I guess it's just a glitch within the game that never picked up. So I've covered how the gameplay isn't as bad as everyone says. I covered how the graphics are decent. What about the sound? The music is pretty good. Nothing too memorable, but the music actually changes as you use your gravity abilities, which I think is a cool thing. And the game sounds pretty good. Most of the music is pretty good, and I like it. The voice acting is okay. I have a minor issue, and that's Jet's voice. Why does he still sound like this? He sounds like he's squawking. I know he's a bird, but he's a hawk, not a chicken. Why does he sound like he's squawking? But other than that, the voices are actually pretty good. Jason Griffith is getting better with Sonic. I'm sick of people complaining about him. He's getting better. Stop it. The gameplay is what matters here. And the gameplay of Zero Gravity is innovative, and it gives you a fun factor. It's not perfect, but I kind of like it. And there's a few other features with the game. There's obviously a 2-player mode, and there's some unlockable characters. You can use Eggman, you can get Cream, you can get Rouge and Shadow, and you could also get Silver. Why are you here? I don't want to see him in this game. I really don't like this character. He really shouldn't be here. But you know what? I'll let that go, because at least he doesn't play a part in the main story like in Rivals 2. Oh my god, it made no sense that he was in the story in there, but at least he doesn't play a part in the main story. He's just an unlockable character. I can deal with that. Blaze is also here, and there's a few other characters I haven't unlocked myself, so, you know, I'll leave those up to a sort of mystery. The shop is also a bit better in this game. One of my main beefs with the original Sonic Riders shop was that there were several gears that looked the same but had different abilities in terms of their specs and their traits and everything, and they were just recolors of each other. It was stupid. There was no originality about it. Here, almost every single gear, as far as I can tell, is the completely original design. Some look similar, but they aren't exact duplicates of each other, just recolored. So Sega put some time into making the shop. So it's a little interesting. You have to buy them with rings, obviously. It's a pretty good deal. And another thing that's never ever mentioned is there is Wi-Fi in the game. Yeah, Sega actually took the time to give you Wi-Fi, although it's not what you would expect. What the Wi-Fi is that you can record a ghost race of you racing a certain track, and you can download other people's ghost race and race against them. Now, that sounds stupid, and to a certain extent, I would have preferred a live race feature. It would have been much better. But this isn't so bad. I mean, this eliminates the issue with lag that the Wii has been having in terms of it online. And no other developer that I've seen besides Sega and Nintendo had taken advantage of the Wii's Wi-Fi to an extent. And it's nice to see that Sega has taken the time to try to do something. So I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind the extra feature. It's nice to be able to, put out your own ghost races and have people race against them. See how good you are. I'm ranked like 8,000 something. There's some people who are like gods at this game. I tried racing against ranked 1 on one of these tracks. Holy you can get really good at this game. The last thing I want to mention about the game is that there is a learning curve. The game is not something you're going to be able to pick up and play. You have to give it time, and no one seems to be willing to do that. I strongly recommend giving this game a rental and see if you like it. If you like it, buy it. It's one of the best 3D Sonic games I've played in a long while. It and Secret Rings, and it's kind of funny that the Wii has 2 of the better Sonic games on it, and the 360 and the PS3 are still stuck with Sonic Next Gen, which is a piece of That's all I really got to say about it. It's a good game. I strongly recommend it. I'm done. Have a nice